Guys, our deal at Extra Wallets is still going on right now. Get your limited exclusive edition of the Angry Joe Show wallet. Click the links down below.
Yeah, 20% off everything. And then the thing with Extra has always been money-back guarantee, great warranty. There's no reason not to check it out.
At a great freaking price. Yeah. All those other ones overpriced. I went out and searched, and this was my favorite wallet, and I went and partnered with them, and they're cool as hell, allowing us to like help develop the products. Awesome. Yeah. Guys, check it out, and I hope you enjoy the video. Hey guys, welcome to the spoilers for Dune Part 2. So Alex, go ahead. Start.
So the movie starts, and so he's moving through the desert as he's not quite a Fremen yet. They don't really trust him, but he's still being hunted down by the Harkonnens. Because we can't call them the other one. No, Harkonnens.
Harkonnens.
We kind of don't address the fact that the Sardaukar were like not. They didn't disguise themselves in the first one.
Yes, that was. Now, they're supposed to be disguised. In the book, they're disguised. And I think even in the 1984 film, which you barely get any of the battles. Like, the costumes are so bad for the normal infantry and the ships in the 1984.
What about the shield technology?
This is like a 10 out of 10. It's like so
bad.
Bad.
They're covered in jello.
Yeah, and he can't move. And then the voices.
D&D. Yeah. Yes. Now, I will. The fucking sound design is something I also forgot to praise in the normal review. Sound. I just love everybody's voice when the voice is being used. The Sardaukar's voice, Harkonnen's voice. In fact, Baron. Did you notice that Fade's voice is almost exactly Baron's voice? It's just younger sounding. I don't know if he's doing it to mimic him on purpose, but there were times where I was like, "Oh, that's not Baron talking. That's Fade talking." Okay.
He's going to need a voice coach to go back to his normal voice after this one, too.
So the film actually kind of starts with the princess, which is kind of funny because that's how 1984 starts. It's such a confusing story that, Lynch actually added a segment where the princess is doing like a narration at the beginning to set up the universe.
The flooples.
They kind of do that here with the flooples and the fluples.
You mean I'm part floople?
Princess Erlan Corino secretly journals that Paul might still be alive, and kind of sets up the world for us. And then we go to Paul and Chani and everybody making the journey back to Sietch, Tabr.
Yeah, and they brutally murdered the Harkonnens that are after them, and it's not even close. And they have a gross scene where they're just leeching their water out, and he's like, "You can't drink any of this stuff because there's weird stuff in it."
I love that they reference that their fucking water is dirty, such dirty water filled with poison. And God damn the visuals. I don't know if this is in the book. Book readers tell me. Or if this is a Denis Villeneuve edition. I love their gadgets that when they float down from their ship, not only does it make just a perfect visual, but it's just cool. And they even make noise when they press the button. It goes, and it's just cool. It just makes you feel like, oh yeah, I know that. We can go down to the shop and get one of those. Like it's a real thing, but it's not real. It almost gives them weightlessness because as they attract a worm, they're like, we need a scale. So they go to a rock and they kind of float upward. And so it's like, wait a minute, is that a jetpack? It's not really a jetpack. I don't see any fucking things on it, but I love the technology. God damn it! I already want to watch this again so I can just see that. So we get the insurgent scene. Well done. And Paul has to do some fighting himself, as he's discovered. And his mother even does some fighting herself as well.
Yeah, because he had his back towards
an enemy.
What is this obsession with never turn your back on? It's like,
that's how you die.
In the Dune universe, you always have to have your back to, a wall so that it's not a door. Because he's like, I can hear your footsteps, old man. And he's like, never put your back to the wall. Yeah.
No, they can't.
Even here. Now, Jessica is a good fighter. In fact, she beat motherfucking Stilgar, who's an excellent fighter, and that's because she's the trained Bene Gesserit. They have their own combat ways. And he was like, all right, let's exchange. The you will teach us, the Bene Gesserit. And I'm like, she's got to be breaking some kind of rules. You can't just teach them everything. But it is said that the Fremen themselves are already amazing fighters. They're on the level of the Sardaukar, if not better than the Sardaukar.
They got home field advantage. That counts for a lot.
There you go. And the Sardaukar are supposed to be the best warriors in the universe. So that just kind of shows you how powerful.
They like the place where it's like raining and stuff, and then
yeah, and bloody and stuff. So once we get that, what happens next? We get to the actual Sietch, and we get to see some of the culture. We get to see what's the guy that became his guide in his dreams, and he had to kill him in order to join the Fremen? Jameis. Yes, I think so. And so his body is basically converted into water, and they add the water into this huge pool, just like thousands and thousands of cubic inches of water, and he's like, we would die before we would drink this. And I'm like, man, what happens if somebody accidentally slams it, falls in, gets it in the mouth? These are all dead people, you're saying? Dead people's water, Joe. You got to drink that shit. And there's a lot of pee and piss and pooping. No, apparently it's been filtered. It's yeah. So what else?
They're bringing the dead body, and it causes chaos. It's like, oh, you killed him. Like, you're a traitor. You're a spy.
So
we don't
right
trust
away,
you. Right away. So
right away, we have two factions. In fact, he even looks left and right. And on his right, he sees people that are like, and Chani's actually hanging out with the people that are like, man, fuck this guy. Who the hell does he think he is?
She doesn't have the faith.
Right. And then you have Stilgar's version. And I love that. He has such strong faith that even when Paul is being honest with him, he's like, bro, it's a lie that the Bene Gesserit is how. He's like, I don't care. Yeah. I believe. So I believe now. You believe.
Yeah, he's telling everyone, it's like, oh, he's just being humble.
I'm not the Messiah. It was so Life of Brian. And it's like Monty Python where he's like, no, I'm not the Messiah. Like, he's the Messiah.
He's so humble.
Yeah. It was crazy.
We all laughed because it was great. But Jessica decides to take this as an opportunity to follow through what Paul's father wanted to do, and use the Fremen as an army. And in this case, it's extra expedient because we were just obliterated. Our whole house has been killed. And so we will use this as an opportunity to not only get revenge, but make a play on the fucking throne. Mm-hmm. Because we know that the Emperor motherfucking betrayed us and killed our entire house. So it's just ultimately a story of revenge. Yep. And, the movie does deal a lot with this. I don't think it needs to. You have some people who's like, oh, these white savior stories, this is garbage, and I don't want to watch this because it's an insult to culture. And I'm like, well, I don't think it's like, fine, just don't watch it. In this instance, number one, that doesn't bother me. I think you could tell those types of stories, right? I think Shogun is even maybe that type of story. There was a Tom Cruise one. You remember that Tom Cruise?
The Last Samurai?
The Last Samurai. I enjoyed that one too. But here, I think Danny, I don't know if it was his initiative or maybe his production crew around him or his writing crew is like, we got to address this in some way. So there are bits and pieces here that the film kind of makes commentary on this. Mm-hmm. And what the film does is it tries to say, look, this wasn't my idea. Paul actually shows the man behind the curtain a few times in moments of weakness. And, it almost takes a life of its own. And I like that. And I think it's shown in a realistic way and depicted in a realistic way that I don't think it's bothersome. And if you still think it's a bothersome story, so fucking watch it. So ultimately, Jessica uses this because there are some religious fundamentalists who are fanatical about it. And he is actually proving himself time and time again. They say, okay, well, let the desert deal with them. Stilgar goes, and he talks with the other elders, and they tell him, no, that's 40K universe.
Yeah, I was like,
getting mixed up. And they basically tell him, let the desert deal with him. He essentially has to go out into the desert.
But we skip over that whole thing.
We do skip over it, and I'm glad we do because there's a lot of things to cover here. Yeah. If you're going to skip over his journey through the desert and learning their ways, it's good. And I actually like how they included Chani in it. So Chani, clearly has an attraction to him. does end up liking him. She calls him, unlike other outsiders, he's more sincere, and he's super cute. Is what I clearly.
That doesn't hurt.
Totes
That
adores.
doesn't hurt.
She's even talking with her other girlfriends. I like that they expanded this. It feels more modern, but modern in a good way.
Yeah.
Whereas there's modern in a bad way, as we've seen in recent films. Because in 1984, she doesn't have like little fucking girls that she could talk to about it. It just happens, and she's boom, his girlfriend.
In love immediately.
Yeah, I like that there's added depth.
Slim Pickens out there, Alex, in the desert. Okay.
Yeah.
He's cute.
And honestly, when your woman is super independent and has her own thinking, I find that way more attractive than somebody that's gonna fucking just float. All right.
It was all Shia LaBeouf's
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, that's who they pray for, right?
What are you talking about? Oh, Shia LaHood.
Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaHood.
Yeah, Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaHood.
That's what I said. You're saying it wrong.
He's in the fucking desert. And he's just doing all the worms.
It's like, oh, we're doing this for Shia LaBeouf.
No, Shia. All right. That's just the grandfather worm, one of the biggest worms out there. And anyways, Chani helps him in the desert, and we skip that. And we go to more insurgency battles. Love it. Like, I mean, the tech in Dune is terrifying. I mean, it is a bloody, even though atomics are outlawed, they still have incredibly destructive firepower. You've seen the Harkonnen ships can fucking deploy 80 rockets at once and just pepper, carpet bomb an entire area. Fucking visuals are great. And in this instance, the Harkonnen spice harvesters are being protected by, I always get this wrong, ornithopters. Hey, ornithopters. And this is from playing Dune War for Arrakis, the board game. Because I would control the ornithopter. Anyway, so they have these like fucking Gatling guns that lay down stamps of like 50 bullets at once. And it's so cool to watch. Cool. And it's terrifying to, even though the Fremen are very good fighters and one-on-one, they're going to pop out of the sand and fucking cut your throat.
Fucking machine gun.
You're going to get gunned down by these copters.
Yeah, they don't have the personal shields on.
Nobody does, which I love. That Frank Herbert. Let me let you go. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, this was one of the kind of the odd thing because there's a scene where it looks like 90% of the insurgents die. All of the Fremen get shotgunned and they're just like they appear to be lying dead. And then the next they're in a tent like celebrating. You're like, wait, didn't everyone just fucking die? And it may have been.
There were a lot more Fremen apparently. Yeah. And I love the fact that they don't use the shields, and that is explained in the lore. Is that the shields attract the worms, and it's even said in the film. But I knew that prior. And I just love the universe of lore that we can have medieval fucking battles in close combat. Why? Because of these types of shields that have been created. In this universe, if one of those lasers that one of those guys is using makes contact with a shield, it will create an atomic explosion. It's never shown, and they reference it, and I'm sure the logistics of that being real in this universe doesn't make any sense, but I like it. It's a great excuse to have this medieval-style combat with some occasional kinetic, shotgun blasts and Gatling guns. Anyway, so Chani is and initially I was like, who are these people? Because their faces are covered. And there's just a jump in time. So obviously he succeeds in the desert if he becomes a part of the insurgent force trying to take out the North. They have a great tension-filled scene where she fires a rocket at the ornithopter while Paul holds off, some forces. Another great scene. What y'all think?
Yeah, I like this scene too because that's totally what I would have done as well if I had the bazooka. Guys running towards me. It's like, oh, you fucked up.
He boom tubed him. That's a video game move.
That was an awesome move.
She boom tubed him, yeah. And
great scene.
And she's like, reload. I was like, yeah, great. We do have multiple shots. Go ahead. Go ahead, girl.
Why not? I thought she was gonna go ahead. He's like, put that thing down, start fighting. I was like, okay. This is quicker.
I also like in comparison to other lore, and I look at everything from a war perspective, from a board game perspective, from miniatures, tabletop. I like in other universes when you're firing lasers and bullets and rockets at things, it never seems to do much damage. There's always like the armor is there, and there's shields once you get through the shields, and there's armor. No, in this universe, when you fucking hit thing with a goddamn missile, you see, structures just rupturing and rebar going this way, and they just love the collapsing explosions. It's just a great thing. So eventually, what happens?
So we get those scene, and then we cut back to the Harkins.
No!
Oh, okay.
Harkonnens.
And we cut back over there. Bautista's over there, like he's in trouble.
He's getting
because
frustrated.
He is in charge of all the spice, and they're fucking with the spice. And
Right.
he's not happy. He's not a happy camper.
Yeah. He, his Baron's like, get this shit under control. And he does eventually go out on his own to try to confront, but I'm jumping ahead a little bit. I think we should talk a little more about Jessica, and she's pregnant with Paul's sister. And she actually takes the water of life to become a Reverend Mother. This is another kind of reason why they would use her, and then she obviously wants to do it because that will allow her to use the Fremen. It's again those crisscrossing story threads that make for an interesting setup. So she drinks this water of life that can kill you if you're not strong enough, and you will die if you're a man. Only women can drink this and become Reverend Mothers. And she succeeds, but she was pregnant with Paul's sister at the time, which she also survives. And that's what's supposed to make that baby like crazy powerful.
Blade. It's like the blade of Benny and the Jets.
Kind of explains that shit. But so
Well,
then
even Paul tells him, he's like, well, yeah, she survives because she trained. That's what she's trained to do.
This isn't magic. I'm
It's
not
not
the Messiah.
magic.
I'm
She's
not
telling
Dune Messiah.
everyone.
I've been telling you.
It's like, no. The guy still believes. It's like, he's telling you logic, but I get it. And I like it. I like it.
Yeah, Chani and her friends are all like, the prophecy is false, you know, and he, but it does give him a respect from Chani, even though she knows he's revealing himself, but she's respecting him for kind of not only wanting to fight alongside them, not wanting the power, not going around saying, I am the motherfucker, you know, and so this is what develops respect.
Yes, exactly.
And so eventually Paul basically becomes Fremen, or really passes a final test with them when they go out. They have this fucking awesome scene. I'm like, okay, so one of the biggest scenes in the 1984 is riding the worm. And when you look at that scene now, you're like, oh my God.
I love it. I fucking
so
love it.
embarrassing.
No, it's not. That's my kind of fucking movie.
The green screen's really bad. There's like fucking optical effects that are
you
horrible.
put like a jet ski or whatever.
I don't know
I'll see
what it
green
is.
screen in.
But this
It
film
looked
does
great.
it so majestically and so
I would hope
awesome.
so.
It sets it up so great. And so this worm comes, and when the worm arrives, even motherfucking Stilgar's like, no, not that big, not this.
That's a big one.
But it's too late to kind of tell him not to do it. And I love that Paul is so ignorant. He doesn't know. So he doesn't know the danger. But he's going to do it regardless, and he succeeds. And that kind of makes him a legend amongst everyone. Actually, after they successfully do some raids, they give him more respect. That's when everybody's, choose your name. And he goes with Usul. Is given to him. That's his Fremen name. Yeah. And then you can have a warrior name. And he chooses a warrior name of Muad'Dib. And the more I say it, the more I like it. I hated it when I first heard it, but now I just fucking love it.
But also like the edit whenever it goes from him to like him riding the sandworm and then goes to the temple of the sandworm, what's written on the wall. The lady comes in. It's like, oh, he did this. It's prophecy. He's like, spread the word. I was like, oh, shit.
And I love how the Jessica becomes a little evil.
Yes,
and that's
you
like,
see that.
I think that's the influence of Paul's sister, because she's so damn creepy. She's like, you need to exploit the weak ones, and the weak ones will spread the message. Eventually, the strong ones will have to relent, and they'll spread the message to, woo, yeah, great. And it's all been set up, and you know, in the 1984, he's just called Muad'Dib, and you're like, why? What does this even mean? But in this film, in part one, you even see him, he's like, oh, like, because he's looking at all those holograms and learning about, and he sees the little mouse, and he's like, I like that thing. You know, you can tell he likes it. And the mouse is in this, comes up to their straw when they're hiding in the sand trying to do their attack. It's like, get out of here. And he chooses that. He's like, oh, that people are going to try to make fun of him because it's a fucking mouse. And
Stilgar
goes, no, it's a survivor. It makes its own water. It's incredibly wise and stuff. So fun. And so the raids intensify, and basically that's when Rabban goes out and tries to handle hit himself. And it's really cool. They have a great scene that shows how powerful the Fremen are. You can't see shit. They even bring dudes with lasers. It don't fucking matter. In fact, one guy lasers another guy because he thinks.
Yeah.
I was like, got him. It's like, oh shit, that's one of ours. That's Joe's Helldivers.
Not so friendly.
That was
Helldivers.
You know what? That would be a great fucking thing for a Helldivers update. We need a third faction. We'll put them in the sand, or at least a sand planet would be cool.
Yeah.
But it would be chaos because Joe would kill us all.
It's already chaotic. I mean, yeah.
And it's funny because Rabban just fucking starts running.
It's like I thought for this one, I thought he was more of a coward.
Yeah,
I thought he would kind of
fought
a couple of them and then
I think
retreat.
that actually is in his character when he feels that he is in charge. Like I'm the big man, and he is a big man, and he is a good fighter.
But you take away his bodyguards.
You take away all the shit, and he becomes a coward. Fade is psychotic, so he doesn't fucking care. He's gonna go down regardless. He's gonna fight. But I like how Rabban just fucking leaves, and this prompts. I don't know if it always feels like this was his plan. Baron was going to use Fade at some point.
Yeah.
But here it's kind of implied because Rabban can't do it, he has to get Fade. Right?
Yeah.
That's the one thing. And logistically or logically, I don't know what's going on. It just feels like, oh, well, I didn't put him in the first film, and now I want to use him. So here he is.
Yeah, powder.
Yeah, but apparently the Bene Gesserit even have a plan for Fade. He's going to what, Alex?
Well, it's like, look, there's two sons of a powerful lord. They know that the second the Emperor got insecure and went and had House Atreides liquidized, that his time is up. Like, you don't get to be emperor anymore, and so now it's time for the new generation. And then the Benny and the Jets need to make sure they're in charge. and because so it's like, look, he's got a daughter. These are the two male suitors. This is what makes sense, and especially since there's no Spacers Guild at all mentioned under any circumstance.
Oh, that's another thing that I was okay.
It's like we have to focus.
Mentats reduce and Spacer Guild.
Yeah, there's none of that. We can't. We don't have enough time. 6 hours wasn't enough. We needed 8 hours.
Again, I needed that gross. They are the closest things to aliens in the universe, even though they're humans that are on spice so much that their bodies warp and change and they look disgusting.
That tube that walks in? Yeah.
In the old one. But if you look real closely in part 1, you can kind of see through, and you can see that their faces are all changed. It's kind of cool.
It's gross. Yeah, and so they just have it set up. They're like, look, Fade's a psycho, but he could be our psycho. He's a known quantity, right? Like we can control him if we need to.
Which I thought the Reverend Mother sounded incredibly stupid. She's like, but he's psychotic, and she goes, that's irrelevant. The real question is whether we can control him. And I was like, yeah, but if he's psychotic, you can't control him.
With
and even
sex,
if you think you can control
she said
him,
with sex you can't.
He's psychotic, and he can turn on you at any moment. But whatever. So anyway, Jessica basically completes a religious quest into the north and then kind of travels to the south to get the real power. And Paul doesn't really want that. He doesn't want to go south. He doesn't want her to do it. He keeps telling her that I have these visions, and this person that's leading him to all these deaths is his mother, I think, when she turns around.
It's his mom.
And it's true, because now she's going. And at first, when he said it, I could have swore he said millions starve. The word millions. But then the second time he has a vision and says, reference to the vision when he tells Johnny, it's billions. So I'm like, which is it? Millions
it's clearer
or billions?
now, because before it was blurry. Now he can see clearly. So now he knows it's billions.
Yes. Got it. And there's a creepy guy with his mouth all agape and people dying. So clearly it's a vision and not a realistic. It's just kind of a representation of what could happen.
A lot of people can.
And so I don't know if it's millions or billions, but hey, that's kind of in the book lore too, because frankly, the book lore has a little bit of a weakness, and that weakness is, wait a minute. So you're telling me that Paul, we're in spoilers, Paul eventually does this galactic-wide jihad that he can't control, and billions die, but the Fremen, there's only 1 million Fremen. We already know the numbers of the Fremen, and there's like hundreds of planets, right? So how the fuck are these militaries going? Is this one tiny force landing on the planet and then like killing everybody? All right. Well, but that's the one thing that I'm willing to just whatever.
Yeah, you just have to assume that because he has visions, he's got the powers of foresight, and he can use his 1 million people to constantly win all these battles. It's not great.
Well, my headcanon is that even people that are not Fremen will, I don't know, eventually join his cause too. Because
there was always a scale problem where it's just like, how big are these houses? And they're like, wait a minute.
Holy war.
Because it's supposed to be a big deal. They're like, holy shit, 1 million Fremen? Are you fucking at, like,
what the
million? That's, you know how big 1 million is?
They thought there was only 50,000.
Yeah.
Maybe 100,000.
And then you find out that it's like, wait a minute, where are all these people coming from?
Anyways, eventually Paul meets up with Patrick Stewart, and it was fucking hot. No, Patrick Stewart was the original guy Gunny that he meets, and I kind of like the original better. It turns out that there were a few Atreides left, and they were just like guerrilla warfare fighting, just like the Fremen. In fact, I think they even joined a Fremen Sietch separately, and his eyes were blue when they met. Here,
he's a smuggler.
What's this actor's name? I forget.
Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin is a smuggler, and he's actually doing spice operation. Why? To sell to who? He's going to get attacked by both the Fremen and the Harkonnen.
And the worms.
It's very profitable.
I don't think this shit is profitable, and I don't think that he would do this.
Well, because Paul has ruined like 80% of their supply for the Harkons.
True.
So he's like...
Harkonnen.
So he's like, all right, this is very hard to come by, so it's a very lucrative job right here. Let's do it.
Yeah, if he had to join a siege, it would have been way easier where there's traveling, they're traveling through. And it could have been they met him, like, you know, they meet blowing up a Harkonnen thing together, and they're like, I was going to blow it up. Like, you want to blow it? Cool.
That's how the kind of the film does it. So eventually, what he sees, he's still alive. He has atomic warheads that he knows the location of all the Atreides atomic warheads.
Good thing that guy was alive and that your fingers work, because otherwise this movie doesn't work.
You need his DNA and his bloodline in order to open the door, and they open the door, and now they have access to atomic warheads. And I'm like, whoa, okay, this might be another book problem, because this problem of scale. So they say they have 90, if I didn't hear them right, it was like 96 warheads. Yeah. And I'm like, that can destroy the entire planet. And he actually says that funny line at one point. He's like, enough to destroy the planet.
Speech.
And Stilgar's like, what the fuck? And Chani's like, what the fuck? And he's like, a figure of speech. But no, he's not. He's like, no, it's legit.
Yeah.
We can blow the whole thing up. Now, I do want to point this out right now. I'll jump ahead. So they end up using the atomic. I'm like, they're not going to use the atomics. Maybe Chani's going to go and blow them up because she doesn't like them, without setting off the warhead somehow. And in fact, when they're like, what the fuck is that noise outside? I thought that was what was happening.
Me too.
But it turns out it isn't. And they actually use them in the battle. And if you notice, there's 3 warheads that go over. And so number one, I'm like, ugh. Number one, you fucking missed your target.
Well,
did you know? Did you?
No, I noticed it.
Was
because,
there a different target that I wasn't seeing?
No, this is a target because like they don't want to kill the Emperor. So they're like, okay, do everything, keep him alive. So this is the distraction. We're going to do this.
The base is
I didn't really want to kill the Emperor either, but I could have got a little close.
The base is in this crescent, right? A mountain crescent. They even said the mountains will defend us.
They set it up.
And then if you look at it's the way the storm is coming, and they blow up the mountain. You're like, hey, motherfucker, you don't have shields anymore. And then the storm kills everything.
And then
I forgot.
Sandworms.
And here, how I'm remembering is the board game, that the board that he shows Gunny, and the plan when he's like, here's how we're going to attack them, is the board over there.
Oh, that's cool.
What actually happens is there's mountain ranges that you can't get. That's why the city is safe from the worms. Yeah. So I think what they did is they used atomics to blow a hole in that so some forces can come through, including the worms.
Exactly.
So that's all right. Got it. All right, moving on. So he shows them the warheads. This kind of, Chani is, I think this kind of starts her apprehension about all this. No. She was apprehensive about the whole Messiah thing.
I think it started whenever he put the ring back on. He's like, I am House Atreides, and he's like, "What? You were supposed to be like."
I think it was just ramping up. No, actually, you're right. So it seems to come out of left field from the Fremen point of view, but I'm like, and maybe from our character point of view, but for what we know of him, no, he loves his father, he loves the Atreides, he's going to do this, and he has enough power to be like, I'm both, and I like that he says I'm both. So the fact that Chani is a little pissed off by that, if in fact she is, I didn't really read it that way, but if she is, I'd be mad at her.
Yeah, I don't think they sold it as well as they could have.
Yeah.
Her being super apprehensive. I mean, they are like banging in this thing. Like there's like a
No. They're not. They are definitely banging as characters, but they don't show any sex.
No. But I mean, like, and then we have this scene where like they're together and they're talking about like, oh, I'll love you till my breath goes, like till my last dying breath. Yeah. And she's like, I don't trust you. And you're like, where'd that come from? Why would you say you don't trust him? And I don't know about you being Messiah. And he's like, he spent the entire movie saying that he's not the Messiah. So it's like I don't think they set that up as well. Maybe there's something because they cut stuff out.
For me, they had like one line that I could kind of see because he's like, "Oh, where I come from, we like Duke. You're like a Duke, this and that." It's like, well, I don't care about that. For me, I'm equal. You are my equal. And the next thing you know, he's like puts on the ring. He's like, I am Duke of this and this and this. He's like, what the fuck? You lied to me earlier.
Yeah. I don't know. I can see her becoming a little annoying for people. Look, I like difficult women. It's my weakness, so I tolerate it. I can understand it. But I'm wondering if other people are like, this bitch, every fucking scene she's undercutting Paul, but she has good reason. But I don't know if she knows she has good reason or if she has that legit. Because he's the one getting the visions.
Yeah, look, he is a bad dude. He's going to do bad things. With spoilers.
He's not a bad dude. Things are done in his name that are bad. Yeah, he's not bad.
So
he kicked it off.
There's some real horrible shit that's
in order to get this going, what he had to do here, he is responsible.
Yeah, so there's some bad shit, and I just needed her to get more whiffs of that. Yeah. And then it completely makes sense, and then you'd have to be one of those like real psychos to be mad at her, but
ultimately she is kind of right. So I'm curious how audiences will accept her character and her treatment of Paul all throughout, even in the major battles. She's like, I'm mad at you. She does show that she's generally scared for his life, and you could see it in her subtle acting. Oh, yeah. So that's good.
She was well done. She
never says anything.
When it's like, I'm gonna marry her, and then you can see she's like her eye is twitching.
Daggers.
Like, wow.
So that motherfucking scene was not in 1984. So you can show the way the political climate and women watching the movie has changed since then. They just used the woman character as just the means. Yeah. Here it's like, okay, you just want me to not react. Do I not get a shot here? And when they're writing the script, they're like, no, you show them how you
make your eye twitch. He's like, yes. Hey, I'm gonna love you. I'm gonna love you. I'll love you forever. Hey, you're gonna be my wife.
The fuck? Eye twitch. Okay, so. Are we missing anything before the final battle? Why do they wake up?
They wake up because the Harkonians.
Stop it, Joe.
It's close.
The Harkonians.
Hawkmans.
The Hawkmans.
They start shooting their temple, and then they see that they're just like unloading
so
onto the mountain.
Finally shows up.
Yeah, the big the water well that was so sacred to them.
Wait, let's not skip the Fade scene. Alex, tell us about when we first meet Fade. You already did it in the main review.
Yeah, so he walks out it's his birthday, and for his birthday, everyone is there, and they're gonna watch him kill the very last 3 Atreides men. But they drug the 2 of them, so there's like one real big ripped dude. There's another like bigger dude, and then there's Tiny Man. And then they decide to not drug Tiny Man. And this dude who just trains all the time, and he's just like, he's a dick, right? He kills the women around him just because he wants to. That's how he tests. He wants to test his knives, and that's how you know he's crazy, because he just kills his servants all the time. That's got to be, how hard it is hiring people. Like, seriously, it's tough. And so it's like
Prime, they got no choice. Those are just slaves.
Okay, and so then he goes out there, and then he just kills a dude who's drugged and can't fight, and then he kills another dude who's drugged and can't fight.
So we would have preferred if this scene was him showing his martial prowess even more clearly.
A dude who's probably been gotten his ass beat nonstop the last 3 weeks and hasn't been fed. He barely beat him in a knife fight.
Yeah, exactly. And this dude's older. And I actually think this is a character from part 1 that obviously has the smallest bit part, but he's in full regalia?
Yeah.
And he is one of the military advisors of the Atreides. I think I recognized him.
Yeah, so I don't believe they set him up the way that they would have. I think that they could have presented him as way more of a badass, so that when the fight comes, you're actually worried about. Paul can see the future, and what you know about seeing the future is like it's a bullshit broken cheese. And they showed us in the first movie, right, where he's like, "Oh, if I do this move, I get stabbed by this dude. Oh, if I do this move, I get stabbed." So he cheats in his fight.
Yeah.
So
and we need that.
Paul.
We needed where Paul will not win this fight.
Yeah.
And honestly, I felt like Paul, even without his prescience, could probably beat him.
Yeah.
It would make sense. But I wanted it to where it'd be like, you have no chance.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to use your powers.
Yeah, I wanted Christopher Walken to be like breakdancing, that Fade's going to be like, he's super happy that like Trial by Combat, he's like, oh, you set everything up and you're going to fight this guy? You're an idiot, and then now you're going to die. But we didn't get it.
So we got this set up, but it was visually impressive, and I like it's all very Harkonnen, Joe, of them to be like, yeah, I set it up. Yeah, you could have died. We're just dicks to each other like that. That's testing you. You know, if you failed the test and you should have failed, then you should have died, you piece of shit. You know, you suck. But you passed the test, and I adore you. And and there's Anyways, but they removed a lot of the grossness, like the erotic, and they have the homoerotic, the erotic, they implied that the Baron might have been incestuous with his
he's like
in 1984 version.
Yeah, he definitely like was doing weird shit to the women that he murdered right before he walks in. So we do get
it's very toned down.
It's hinted at, but it's definitely not there. Yeah.
Okay, and then we get the cool fucking fireworks that Joe mentioned, and then so now we go on to the after that. It turns out Fade shows up. His tactics are far more brutal than Raban's. But this is, don't raise your hand because I know what you're going to say.
I have a fucking question.
Go ahead.
How the fuck do they know where the Sietch is? And why was that scene not in there? Because it's a major thing that no one knows where the Sietches are at all, ever. Like, you don't know where they are.
That's stupid, because, I mean, clearly with all this tech, you should have been able to find at least one Sietch.
But, yeah, then your homes aren't safe. Then
I thought you were going to say the stupid thing was that he's using artillery. What, they never thought to use artillery? And they're like, wow, that's so genius. The Baron is like, that's so genius. I was like, that's directly from the book.
I thought they were just shooting random ones. It's like, we found one.
Yeah, but the whole thing is, like, you don't know where these people live. This is why you don't know how many there are. You don't know. If you know exactly where they are and how big, like, they live in that hill, it's like, holy shit, there probably is more than 50,000 of them. How do you know where the Sietch is?
Or I think the artillery was used on the Atreides, not the Sietches. Well, they probably were used on both in the book. All right. Anyway, somebody, book readers, let me know on that one. So then they use that, and it is horrible. There's many deaths, and this really pisses off the Fremen, more so than already. And so all the Fremen decide to show up, and there's seas and seas of people. They almost look like motherfucking little grains of sand. I'm like, God damn, there was way more than we ever thought. And if you actually wanted to do some insurgencies, you should have ramped that up a lot sooner. But okay. So now we have to unite them, and then Paul does so by
they retreat. This is the time where they decide we can't stay here. We have to go south, and so they go to the other side of the.
They ride worms to go south, but Paul veers his worm off because he goes and has
drink some juice.
This one's kind of out of the blue. I thought they were going to set this up a little bit more better, but it's just like it just kind of happens. So I'm just gonna drink the fucking thing on his own. I'm like, wait,
that is not. I don't believe this is how it happened in the book. I think that he was pretty much like coerced into doing it because I thought like there was a betrayal thing with his mom and Gurney.
Yeah, I don't. There's a little bit more to it.
Yeah.
So anyway, he drinks the thing. He drinks. Oh, I like the scene also of the Reverend Mother showing up prior to Paul with the little baby worm, and it's like, how is this liquid made? And well, we got a pit with the sand, and we take the worm and we grab it, and then we drown it.
And we drown it and we extract it.
Choke the bitch out, and then fucking stick a needle in it and suck its fucking water, and it's like
water of life.
I guess. And I'm like, and they do this on other planets. How? Yeah. No, it's I guess other planets have their own version of that that the Reverend Mothers can drink. But in this particular one, it glows blue. By the way, I would like to point out, I think the eye blue effect is too subtle in this. I like it when it's a little brighter.
You want to go David Lynch, where like if you turn the lights off, like people had like headlights in their faces.
Yeah,
they turn around and they're still there.
Yeah,
it's like that in the David Lynch, but it's even brighter in the sci-fi ones. And that, all right, I'm like, all right, that one's a little ridiculous, but somewhere in between. Here it's very subtle, but more realistic, as they say. Yeah. Like the whole film is more realistic. So she kind of discovers it. She takes it, becomes a Reverend Mother, and then he takes it and dies. Or at least his vitals are so low that he could potentially die. So they call Chani over.
Yeah, there's like this prophecy that, you know, her secret name is this desert spring, and only through the tears of a desert spring will you be resurrected.
So I think this is a change. And I think it was taken like... literally, I don't know if in the book she had like, you bastards are making me mimic this scene, you know. But I think in the original, it's like she does it, you know. But I'm not sure. Let us know. And anyway, she does it kind of against her will. Obviously, she doesn't want Paul to die. And she revives Paul in this way. And everybody's like, oh, well, that's the final.
He came back from the dead.
And he is, and everybody's like, let's fucking go.
But he wakes up an asshole, and so
he does seem changed. I wish they would have shown that a little more, because he's definitely changed.
Yeah.
And now he can see all the past. Now he can also see some of the futures. I like how he was saying, like, so many. He's like Doctor Strange now. He knows so many futures, and there's a small path that they can go on. And I wish they would have talked about the golden path more from the books. And I think that might be Leto II, Paul's son, who gets crazy. We're going to have a super spoiler section for the rest of the books. But here it's there. All right. So
he figures out that he is a Harkonnen. He is part Harkonnen, which is...
This was wild. I don't think that...
I'm my own grandpa.
So this is actually jumping ahead. This is not in the book. It's in this next book. It's in Messiah. So he pulls Messiahs into here because they do something with Baron, you know, in the future. But anyways, he turns out his mother is Baron's daughter. And so he is a part Harkonnen. And I like how they threw that in there and added a little new dynamic at the end. Kind of gets thrown away. He says, I'm a Harkonnen, so I'm going to use Harkonnen tactics against them. Well, what were the Harkonnen tactics? Just, I guess, brutality?
He shaved his eyebrows.
He didn't shave his eyebrows. That would be a tactic, sure.
Wait,
good
is
to
that
find
it?
So, big battle scene. Well done.
Yes.
They use fucking atomics. They use worm riding, and you get to see worms in the distance. You know, their ships are smashing against each other as the worms are coming through. I wanted more clearly dudes getting bitten instead of everybody got the fuck out the way and maybe one or two.
Oh, the sand was just like going in, so they're all like.
It's almost more about the sand. The sand's more dangerous.
Well, that's how the Air Force got taken out.
Yeah. Then the ornithopters come around and start firing. I love that, where it's like, okay, we have a few missiles on the worms that could take out some copters, but just simply the storm, you know, as that one was returning fire, pop, 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 and then the sand covers it up, and there's just an explosion. It's like, yeah.
Probably hit a mountain. I don't
know. Want to go up in there. Who knows? Maybe a worm whipped its tail. I don't know if they can even do that.
Do you want to get sand inside the mechanics in there? I don't think so.
No, you saw what happened in Dune 1 when they got sand and they crashed and stuff. So, great battle, and we get satisfying. What do you call it? Close combat with swords and shit as the two armies meet. The Emperor's forces. Fewer Harkonnens here. Surprisingly, not a whole lot of Harkonnen. No, this is pure Emperor forces, actually. House Carino, maybe Sardaukar. And so they get obliterated. Later on, there's another scene after this battle scene takes place. It kind of cuts, does a little CGI fly-through, and some copters are doing the fucking Gatling guns on some Harkonnen forces because those guys are dressed in black. But we'll get there in a bit. But yeah, it is not even a fight. It is an obliteration of their forces. And I like it. I mean, I want more of a fight with lasers and shit going back and forth. But no, in this universe, it makes sense. It's good, well done.
Yep.
And if one side has motherfucking 7 worms and atomics, and you're fucked.
Yeah,
you didn't expect it.
They're used to fighting in the sand all day, every day, and like they will fight you in a sandstorm, and you can't see, so you're dead.
So the fucking battle is over in an instant, and I'm glad that we got as much as we got for what it was. And we forgot to mention the Emperor gets goaded into coming to Arrakis with a message that basically, I don't know what the message said. I know what you did. I'm going to marry your daughter. Get over here.
Probably.
Yeah. Come here. I'm going to fight you. It's a secret.
Yeah, the symbol is like, oh, dumb. Fuck.
Yeah, I don't know why he went personally, so it doesn't make no sense. But I don't give a shit. And man, I'll tell you, the Spacing Guild is making money, just constantly ferrying people back and forth. I know. Unfortunately, you don't get to ever see the little fucking gross elephant baby in the jar teleporting people across the galaxy, which you should be able to see that, but you don't. Eventually, they reach the gates, burst the gates open, and I love how it's just like so matter of fact. Like I'm here for this purpose.
The Emperor's personal guard got punked, and like
I loved it.
Like you have to that's a feat, right? Like in this universe, like these are the best of the best of the best, and it's like he's just like kill all of them and.
Yeah, the scene is like they get ready to do battle, and the door bursts open. They go in there into sort of the sand and fog. Well, they go in there, and then 3 seconds later, just everybody's walking like they were never even there. And that shot is so good.
Yeah,
I didn't want them to ruin it with swords clashing. There's subtly you can hear a little bit of it, but it's so subtle. It's so perfect.
Yeah, he also has a scene earlier, right when the battle starts, where he's walking down a sand dune, and he's like this lone figure, and then all of a sudden the sea of dudes is like that's a cool scene.
Thank you for pointing that out, man. Just the visuals, fantastic. Kills Baron Harkonnen. Stares at the Emperor. All the guards are like, fuck, we're on the losing side, clearly. And he's like, kill all the fucking Sardaukar. Kill this guy, leave the Emperor, and he kind of pieces out. And then we go to the Gunny scene, right, where they're continuing to get their revenge. Atreides shows up, Bob. Gunny manages to find Raban, and fucking
not even a fight
again.
I wish there was more of a fight.
Me too, because
it's satisfying, but this is a fucking story. Joe, you love the realism of everything. That's how real fights will go down.
But he was supposed to be badass the first part 1. Bautista, and then
he's a false badass. I'm trying to tell you
but
this.
There were other dudes there, so you could have had the thing where he has to kill his guards or something.
Yeah.
He just kind of walks up and stabs him in the neck.
Like,
give me make me feel how much of a badass this guy is. And
I agree.
Make him pay for that fucking scar.
I want every goddamn person to have a good fight, and I want a 15-minute fight scene from They Live, a wrestling fight scene between two people that lasts 20 minutes, but. Sometimes, like when Obi-Wan finally takes out Darth Maul the second time, sometimes it makes sense when it's over in an instant. It's a little disappointing. But okay, so once we do that, we go back, and Paul's like, I'm going to marry your daughter.
Yeah.
And this pisses off Johnny, and the crowd just gives him the biggest evil eye.
He's like, hey, I love you. Aw, I'll marry you. What the fuck?
And how does this come about? What is the challenge even?
Because he's going to kill him. He's like, I accept.
See, I don't understand the challenge. Just fucking kill him, take his daughter, I guess, but then that wouldn't be legitimate, and it would be too brutal, and people wouldn't support it.
The other houses wouldn't
support it, even though the other houses end up still don't support it. But fine. So he does the honorable battle, and this is one of Fade's weaknesses. He will do an honorable battle, and they fight, and it's a good battle. It's close. In fact, it looks at one point that Paul might lose.
Well, Paul used the full Uno reverse card from the first movie where Gurney, he's like, Paul's like, I got you. And then Gurney's like, look down. And then so it's like he gets it using the exact move. He pulls the knife out of his own guts.
Nice reference. Perfect reference, because it is. I think it's even in the same position as those done. And he doesn't use the voice, because Paul could win if he's just, stop.
Lose the knife fight. The guy's like,
stab yourself. but that wouldn't be honorable. So
yeah, but neither would poison in your belt, like in the 84 one.
Right. Okay, and they wins the battle, and then he's gonna go and I don't know, kill the emperor.
He's like, kiss it.
But she's like, there's already one life taken today. Don't kill my dad. And he's gonna show mercy. I mean, he's after all gonna bang his daughter and try to take legitimate throne.
Yeah, and he stamps his
I
foot.
wanted to kill him, but
yeah, I don't like the stamping your feet thing. Like
that was a little too far.
It's a tantrum.
Yeah, it would look like a tantrum. He could just be like, "I command
Just
thee
stay
kneel."
there.
Well, he has the voice. He's like, "I command thee kneel," and he just like kiss it. And
That
it's
would have
like-
been way better.
Yeah, it
I
would
don't
have
like
been way.
the stamp.
Yeah, it looked like he
Thank
was
you, Alex.
an angry child.
Come on,
Come
on, you little
I
kid.
killed him. Come on.
The knee, no stamping. Tell that way cooler.
Yeah.
So eventually he does get down and he does kiss it. Fortunately, I wonder if this is intentional. There's such good designs for like every ship, and it's just they're factional differences, incredibly creative. They never show any of the other houses. They show up in orbit and they're looking at them, but the camera purposefully is not only is it so blurry and their sun, you can't see what they look like.
Yeah.
So I guess he's saving that for Messiah or for future books, but they say the other houses are in orbit. This was an emergency thing that the Harkonnens put out and the Emperor put out, and the other houses show up and they say, no, we don't accept your the way
Your
this is
rise
going
or
down, your rise to power. Obviously, they want to be involved in this stuff, and fuck you. And right here is where maybe they could have shown it in a better way, where he has no choice. Because, like, maybe you could have showed that he has no choice, but he's like, no, okay, let's go murder everybody in the galaxy. Mm-hmm. Do you have to do that, Paul? Can't you just be like, okay, unless y'all want me to attack you, back off. We'll talk about this in a galactic council or something. No, he's like, all right, here we go. Jihad against the entire universe.
Yeah. But there's only like 25,000 of them per house. So it don't matter.
Apparently not.
Billions.
I guess in this, maybe if the new fixes the numbers of every house only has 10,000 soldiers. No. But it's supposed to be hundreds of planets and billions of lives that get killed. So clearly they have more than that.
Yeah.
So then all of his fighters are like, yeah. And then they actually take the Emperor ships because it's like, okay, what ships are the
them
going
all.
to use? And I guess they just keep collecting more and more ships as they go on their jihad.
What now? To paradise.
They automatically know how to pilot them and maintain them.
And hopefully they grab shields from the dead dudes, because you're going to need them when you're fighting other people. Because when you leave Dune,
You can't do the shields on Dune because of the sandworms, but if you don't use shields on like, all of a sudden the Fremen warriors, although the greatest, they're going to become normal warriors
No,
against
they're
other
not.
houses.
Not if they're smart like me. It's like, oh, what is that in your pockets? Pockets in.
They bring a piece of Arrakis with them.
Pockets in.
I don't know how you tied back to Forspoken, a joke you made
it's a
in
Dale Gribble
Forspoken.
thing.
Damn, Joe.
I'm saying
that's
it's the
okay.
thing. But it's the thing, though. Saying.
Well, that's what he said in our Forspoken review when
slow
she
knife
uses
the cuts,
pocket
and it's
sand.
the pocket sand that stings the
Doesn't
eyes.
she use pocket sand out of nowhere?
Yeah, when she's got a
She
gun
throws
puller.
dirt in his face, but we were like, where did she get the dirt?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Just throw it and then go real slow. You're dead.
Okay, so that is the spoilers. That is all of it. There's no after credit scene.
Well, so after he decides to marry and like he kisses the ring, Chani goes off on a temper tantrum. She's going to the
Thank
desert,
you.
and I don't know where she's going because the Sietch is
gonna
in the
go
north.
ride a worm.
Yeah, she's gonna ride a
She's
worm
leaving.
somewhere.
Going to the west.
She's pissed.
Going to the west.
West?
I don't know
Okay.
what's on the west?
I think it's a
No,
small
she's not
planet. The more
going
you go
west,
west, you
Joe.
just get back in the same place.
Stop
It's
it.
like how
Well, he's like,
You're just coming up with movies now.
we just said northwest or
Chani
north,
goes
south.
west.
Stop it. Moving on. We're going into super spoilers. If you don't want to know about, that's what the joke I thought you were making, and you're laughing hilarious at it. Okay.
No, because I was being
That's what I
for
was
real.
trying to. You were being for real? I thought you were being joke. Super spoilers. Get the fuck out of here unless you don't care.
See you later.
Okay, super spoilers. is this shit gets crazy. Paul has a son and a daughter with Chani. So eventually they got to get back up. He's got to do he better bring a lot of flowers and a lot of nice
Maybe she's already
talk.
pregnant with twins.
Maybe she's already preggers. Okay, fine. But they do make up and make up sex in the desert, and he has a kid.
So
and
greedy.
and his name is Leto II, so he takes after his grandfather. Paul's father, but it's Leto II and a daughter character. I'll kind of forget what happens to this daughter character. Then it's Anna Taylor-Joy. We forgot to talk about that. She actually shows up as a vision version of Arya, or what's the sister's name? I forget. So I guess presumably she'll probably be in Messiah. Now, what happens is Arya eventually goes fucking crazy and is haunted by the Baron. And she actually starts to become a villain, I think, and goes against Paul and his two children. And shit gets wild there because of her Harkonnen blood, if I got that right. And then Leto, or Paul, because he's done this massive jihad, I forget how he has to exile himself into the desert and eventually dies. And it's not a glorious death. It's not a hero's death. It's a sad old man kind of prophet thing. And yeah, so I don't know how many of the girls out there that are worshiping Timothy, whatever his name is, Charlemagne or something.
Yeah.
Is
He's
going
with one
to
of the
be
Kardashians,
like,
right?
Wow, this sucks. I hate this story. This story sucks. Because he does not get glorified. In fact, in the next...
Maybe they'll change it.
He's just a shitty guy. He's kind of the best thing that he did, essentially... Well, he kind of knew in order to stop the jihad, I think that's why he does it, he abdicates his throne and goes off into the desert to kind of stop the war. So that ultimately, they can still make him a hero. Because it's like, all right, I did this and now I have to go and die. I think that's how it is. Let me know in the comments. But what's even crazier is Leto II eventually goes out into the desert and combines with some of the sand trout, which are like the baby versions of the worms, and they leech onto him and they meld with him, and he becomes a worm-human hybrid. First, he gets super speed. Like, he can do, like, Flash-type stuff, and it's fucking wild, and he has superpowers and shit. But then he becomes an actual fucking worm, and maggot, big old body and grotesque body, and little dickhead popping out, and then he becomes emperor. And he becomes emperor for like 10,000 years or thousands of years.
As the worm?
As a worm. And then, like Alex said, he'd made golems of Duncan, Idaho.
He's like, my dad had this really cool friend. I want to make clones of him forever. It's like,
he doesn't make clones of anybody else, not his dad, not anybody else.
They just constantly, he keeps bringing back Jason Momoa over and over because Momoa seems like a cool dude, but like,
I want to hang out with him.
Again,
and he is the best fighter in the universe.
And again.
Yeah, because old age, he dies and stuff. But eventually, he's like a total tyrant. So the entire galaxy is like, this guy's a tyrant, and we got a band against him, and they all get hardened, and humanity is prepped, and they go across the stars for the scattering. And, yeah, it's wild. And eventually, the worm gets taken out by I'm getting fuzzy now. Female character and Duncan, Idaho, I think. And then so that's Messiah, Children of Dune, Leto, and then God Emperor Dune is when Children of Dune at the end he becomes the worm. Then God Emperor, he is the worm for thousands of years, and then he eventually dies, and then it is Heretics of Dune, and this is where you start to get the Bene Gesserit become the main characters. And that could be really cool. And eventually a faction from the scattering comes back, and they're like a darker version of the Bene Gesserit. They're called the Honored Matres, and they're the women that use sex and all sorts of... They
can try to convert and control Duncan, Idaho, but you can't. Not him. Magic space penis, and he takes control.
I don't remember Duncan, Idaho having a magic space penis, but apparently he's able to resist the women's...
It has to be in the book, unless he's dreaming it, because he's brought this up quite a bit, and he told me about it a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it's stuck in my head now.
And so
He's
for a few
spreading
books,
his
we get
filth.
that kind of stuff. Bene Gesserit versus Honored Matres and stuff. But then, you know, and then there's these two mysterious characters with, like, names as if they're modern time characters in Chapter House, like the final book. And they're preparing humanity for a great enemy that is coming into the galaxy. And then, unfortunately, Frank Herbert passed away. And we think what the great enemy was going to be was, you know, AI is returning, the robot invasion kind of thing, you know, and from the Butlerian Jihad, which was why they banned all that tech, and they have the mentats. So that shit is wild. And what's crazy is that's already been filmed. Children of Dune on Sci-Fi have some of that, and it's really bad looking. It's bad.
What's the rating on that?
They got little, like,
I'm kinda
leeches
curious.
on and James McAvoy's a good actor. This was one of his first roles, so he sells it as best as he can. I don't know what the rating. It's like 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Which is not, I mean, it's pretty good for
sci-fi.
For a sci-fi channel thing. So if you really want to get crazy and watch the next chapter before, Sci-Fi combines Messiah and Children of Dune into one. It's the sequel series. You'll have Dune, they do the whole Dune, and then they do Children of Dune, which is Messiah and Children of Dune. And then they stop, because not even they were like, we can't fucking do God, Emperor of Dune, and Heretics and Chapter House. But I hope it gets so popular that eventually you'll get that wacky stuff. And honestly, it's hard to do a 1,000-year kind of story where people are passing away and dying. It just doesn't really work unless it's an animated thing. Maybe they can do that, an animated anime version of it or something. Anyways, so that's everything spoiled and ruined for you. Well, this is the super spoiler section. We fucking warned you. But now you know. Now you get to, like, ruin it for your friends.
Check it out if you want.
All right, guys, that's it. Thank y'all so much. Huge long video, and I hope you enjoy. I hope you have fallen in love with Dune as much as I have and are into this. And leave your comment down below. What do you think they could have done better? What do you think was done better than 1984 and better than the books, if anything? Everything was done better in Denis Villeneuve's version, except for that, like, the creepy shit. Creepy, but you need some of that, you know? And then the darkness and the weirding. Oh, fuck. I fucking love that. It's so stupid.
They did try to pay respects
in this. They did. I missed
all with
it.
The Baron is in the sand, and his ears got ants and stuff on it, because they did that in the David Lynch version.
Yeah. Well, the Baron got killed by a worm in the 1984 version, so that was done better. The CGI is not very good as he spins, and I think the worm gobbles him up. But I liked that. And I actually like the creepy little fucking girl, and she's already born, and she's like, shut up. And she's like, is that a villain or a good guy? Because she's on the good guy side.
Yeah, that was fucking creepy.
Yeah. You remember?
Yeah.
Like,
how can I forget
Kids
that?
are creepy, especially when they're talking like adults and they got powers to make you fly around. So the Dune 84 has, if you haven't seen it by now, what the fuck's wrong with you? Go watch it right now. All right? And yeah, we'll see you on the next Angry Joe show until we get to part 3 for Dune Messiah. Bye, everybody.